It is 7:31, and we are going to have a regular business meeting of the Newmarket School Board. We just spent the past hour and a half in a workshop going over the board self-evaluations per our policy and starting the process of developing board goals for the next year. It was a very fruitful meeting, and I appreciate the time to talk with folks about that stuff. I will call the meeting to order at 7:31. We just did the Pledge of Allegiance at the last meeting, so we'll continue on past that. We don't have anyone with us, so we will skip public comment. So the first item on the agenda is reports, the Superintendent Report. Meredith, if you'd like to make your report, that would be fabulous.
Sure. Last meeting, which I believe was the 28th of June, we wrapped up our initial training for teacher leaders, and we'll ask them to come present to you probably in September to share their mission statement that they crafted and some of the plans that we worked on during that week. Last week was a holiday, so it was a rather short week. We're working on closing out the fiscal year for 2018. Our new business office employee who is replacing Rachel Spainhauer, who's retiring, started just the beginning of this week. So we'll be working with her through the summer on training and helping us move through that process. We had 11 teachers and 6+ administrators participating in competency-based education training for 3 days this week. And our team did a report out presentation at the end of the session today. And I think the highest compliment that I can share based on that was a teacher from a neighboring district who would like to send her as yet unborn child to school in our district moving forward. So I think that speaks pretty highly about the caliber of our team and the work that they're doing around competency-based education. We anticipate a 10-cent increase to meals at both schools for lunch prices for next year. So we'll bring that to you for approval in August, but that is based on a formula. We have to fill out a worksheet for federal school lunch program, and that sort of calculates our increase in our price setting. So we'll bring that to you at the next meeting, but again, 10 cents for lunch at each school.
So $2.60 at the high school?
I have that right here. No, it's more than that. Elementary will go from $2.65 to $2.75, and the junior senior high will go from $2.85 to $2.95.
And just to keep our community informed that we also provide breakfast, does it impact the breakfast?
As of this time, we're not projecting an increase to the breakfast price. Let's see.
And any families that might think they could benefit from free or reduced lunch should fill out the applications for that.
Absolutely. They're posted on our website or available year-round under the Food Services tab, and our Food Services Director is available to answer any questions, and any of our other administrators are certainly happy to help folks out with those as well.
And for families who get themselves like close to the beginning of the school year, how long does it take for that processing?
Yeah, we really do it fairly quickly. Usually they're all done within a couple of weeks, and they're typically retroactive. And if people were receiving in the prior year, there's a window of time that they're covered before they need to have submitted their paperwork. And again, Linda can speak to that. I would expect she'll probably attend on the August 16th meeting when you approve the meal price increase. I'll just make a note.
It's always great to have her come and talk about the innovative ways she's doing things in food services. It's great.
Impact fee balance as of June 25th, $209,684.45. That is still a 2021 drawdown deadline. We are moving, I've spoke about this at one of our last couple of meetings, our website to a hosted provider by the name of Campus Suite based on some research. The plan is to begin that implementation, pieces of that this summer, and to fully convert ourselves over the course of the 18-19 school year. We expect will probably be complete by mid-year, but there's a lot of information to move over. But that is, again, partly driven by the fact that Google, which has been our free hosting site, is sort of moving backwards to an older version, which doesn't have some of the functionality, and also ADA compliance requirements that we have to meet for website information, which isn't covered in our Google free material. So, Campus Suite. And I just want to compliment Chris Cooney, again, in our IT department, who did a lot of research, put together a really comprehensive presentation about benefits and challenges with each of the different providers. He looked at really the 4 major providers. He contacted local districts. He did his homework for sure on all the pricing and got us a good deal, and we're excited about that. It will give us kind of a fresh 21st century look and feel to our website. So that's exciting. I want to again thank our teachers and custodial staff for their efforts, packing up rooms, relocating people, moving furniture, clearing out spaces that are currently under renovation to include the portables at the elementary school. It has been a heroic effort, to say the least, and everybody has done it, with grace and resilience and good attitudes.
Our folks actually had to move their space.
Well,
I mean, everybody, I'm sure.
the entire main office at the junior senior high, all of the everyone who is working out of the portables. There are interior classrooms at the elementary school that are changing. There are a number of classrooms at the junior senior high. The teacher's room at the junior senior high is getting a makeover. We've got temporary boiler rooms and ductwork, the stage, the music room. I mean, there are,
so people understand the complexity.
This is a huge impact for us. Ekman as well has been a good partner in helping us out as things have come up. We've needed to, make some adjustments to the stage area because the asbestos abatement is going to be beginning in there, and their team pitched in to help move some of the items in that area and get some things loaded into storage. So everybody's working together really well, but I don't want to underestimate the impact of that. And on top of that, our custodians are trying to do most of, as much as they can do, of their regular routine summer cleaning schedule. So, and just a small example of that today. We're digging out behind the elementary school under the concrete slab, as it turned out, not where we expected it to be, was one of the water mains to the elementary school. Was buried under a concrete slab that was put in there some years ago. And so that got hit. It was also not as deep as you would normally expect to find a water line. So that got hit today, and we lost water at the elementary school. That impacted summer programming. It impacted our custodial crew. It's been restored. It was fixed relatively promptly, but when we lose something like that, we lose sprinkler system, we lose bathrooms, we lose running water, we lose water for cleaning. So we had to make a decision this morning to send people home early in order to meet fire code and sanitary conditions, and because we couldn't anticipate exactly when it would be restored. So we hope that's a one-time. We don't really have more digging to do back there at this point. But those are the kinds of things that we're encountering. We planned for Eversource, for example, to come tomorrow to do a power shutoff, and then we were informed after we told everyone they were coming that they changed their mind, and never mind, will come some other time. So these are the kinds of things that we are dealing with on a continuous basis, and staff are in different quarters. I do want to remind folks, that's on my list down here, that both school offices are at the elementary school. Junior senior high office is working out of the elementary library for this summer. So they're in kind of makeshift quarters, but if people need information or need to register a student for school, please do not go to the junior senior high, go to the elementary school, one-stop shopping this summer.
So everybody's at the elementary school.
Everyone. And information about hours is posted on each school's website, as location information is there as well. But
many thanks to all for their hard work, dedication, and flexibility as we start this process and move forward.
Yeah.
It's greatly appreciated. And for your leadership with it.
We expect the school resource officer for the elementary school to be named soon. We've been working with the chief on that process. He is still in the process of hiring, though, for a full-time officer position in his department, so that impacts when the SRO will be available to us. So he's doing his best, I know.
So it's going to be one of our current offices. It's going to be
I'm not at liberty to disclose such information, but that is what the chief indicated to us previously, and I believe that is to still be the case. Let's see. met with Tom Schramm, who oversees the Masters in Education program at UNH. We're trying to work with him about getting to be in there as a cohort site for future years.
Oh, great.
That's a relationship that dissolved here some years ago, so we're trying to get in the cycle for that. To host teacher interns here. Newmarket hasn't done that for a number of years. Met with Brendan Jorgensen from the Newmarket Business Association regarding the future of their education committee and work that we've done this year with Ryan Lavasser and some of that ongoing work. We are working on handbooks for next year. Those pieces will be coming to you. We are putting together details for negotiations. Again, in our shared services environment, our business administrator is also working really heavily right now on software implementation for the town. So this is one of those times when her time is distributed a little more heavily on that side. Our facilities director, again, I announced at the last meeting that our part-time support person for him, assistant to him, started a couple of weeks ago, and that's been great. But he also works for the town. And so as we're dealing with things like those that come up today, he still has responsibilities to the town that he has to fulfill. So people are wearing a lot of hats and juggling a lot of responsibilities. And I think that speaks to sort of the earlier point. There's a lot happening. So we just need to be mindful of how much we bite off at any one time. I think that's most of my list, other than building. So.
When is Rachel's end date?
End of the summer. She doesn't work full-time, but she's providing training and supporting us through the audit and federal grant closings and all of those pieces that happen, MS-25 and DOE forms that we need to submit in the summer for prior and upcoming fiscal years.
And so when all that is done, then she's officially retired?
She will be retiring, yeah.
Meredith, do you want to start, as we get into committee reports, talk about any building stuff that you haven't touched on before we move into committee, or do you have any more?
I don't know if Mike or Al want to start, and I can add on.
Mike,
I'm going to miss more than I hit, but I would start out by just saying, Meredith, I don't know if you published it on the website yet, but I thought a very good executive summary for folks that can follow, the highlights of the project going forward. Did everybody see it?
Yep.
I think, it provides enough information, but not too much that you get lost in the weeds. And I think once people get into a rhythm and of knowing it's there on a monthly basis, it will be helpful. And certainly it's helpful to me. It will be helpful to the building committee. Because again, we forget things. We've got other jobs and stuff, and it's good to have that running tab. So that's out there. I think that's great. There's so much going on at the schools right now. I would just reiterate to folks that these are construction sites, that they're not, that the public respect that. I know, and we all are we're grateful that we have the interest, but let people do their jobs and give them room, and please stay off those sites that are blocked off. We got I think we may have mentioned this last time, or maybe not. We got the DOT permit for the high school. Meredith, we're still waiting on elementary. Yeah. And that entailed at the high school, essentially what we're going to need to do in the short term is remove the the crossing lights at the crosswalk. This state has certain regulations for those, and it is a state route. And but we are making provisions for crossing for next year. Safely crossing may involve a crossing guard during school hours.
Can we fight to get the lights put back on there, or?
I don't know if "fight's" the word. If we put them back on there, essentially, as I understand it, you need to be consistent and put them at every crosswalk on 152. So there's like four other crosswalks that we would need, and the town would need to.
It's a $30,000 proposition that the town would need to support and endorse.
And fund. Yeah, and I don't know if anybody paid attention to the one-way street issue that we had, the town council was dealing with, but that was quite, you wouldn't think it would be such a controversy, but it was. And can you imagine have folks stop at lights consecutively down? So that's an issue, I suppose, for another day. The takeaway is that we can move forward, and they are clearly, they've really moved forward on that. So it does look like we'll be able to finish that bus loop for the start of school, but they're really chugging along. Al and I have been attending the construction meetings as well, listening in. I think that's been helpful, as well as meetings with Meredith and Greg and what's the gentleman's name now? Jim as well. He's a nice guy. That's all for me.
Do you have anything to add?
No, yes, of course. The comment that Mike made earlier about things happening as this process proceeds, I'm hearing about all kinds of things that are happening that are not happening. Rumor mill, about you name it. And I just want to assure you that I think Meredith and Greg are doing a great job keeping people advised of what the real progress and the real issues are. And that report that Mike talked about earlier really highlights any concerns, any major concerns that come up during the process. So I don't know what the access is to that, but it's a great filter. No, the helicopters are not landing across the street. I guess my point is you're going to hear about things that are going to come up from us as they come up.
And I think that executive summary did give a good sense of all the even to this point, the moving parts that are moving every hour of every day as we move through this process.
And to be clear, it's not to say that those things weren't provided early. I just think it's a nice format. Yeah. It's a nice, concise way for folks to see this is where I can look for this. Okay, what were the change orders for the last month, and where do we stand overall on the budget? Those types of things. I think it's helpful.
Very helpful.
All right, thank you. Any other committee reports from anyone? I haven't had any of my meetings recently.
Haven't had any meetings.
The next item, we move into action items, is the approval of the minutes. I know, Ingrid, you were not with us the last time, but I seek a motion to approve the minutes from the June 28th work session and meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. McKinney and a second from Mr. Zink to approve the June 28th workshop and special business meeting minutes. Any amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? 4 approve, 1 abstention. The manifest, there's a problem with the server, right?
I wouldn't describe it as a problem, but we just switched over our servers, and so we weren't able to print the full manifest because you can't move it from the financial software easily to the, anyway, until the server is fully restored. So we'll have that for you at the next meeting.
Thank you. And I did not mean.
Stands as it was signed by board members who came in. There's no change to it, but it wasn't easily, we would have had to manually recreate the entire thing, and I did not feel that was the best use of time.
Thank you for clarifying my foible with the words. All right, we have 2 donations to approve. The first is the Nick Popov Award that went to Nancy Castleton from Castellon from NCEP. That's an annual award that's given out, so we accept that $1,200. We might. And then the second is from Fidelity Charitable Donor Advised Fund Grant for the Denim Shirt Award for $667. Meredith, can you help me understand what that one is?
So that's a scholarship that's presented by a member of the community. I'm going to forget his first name. Mr. Chase's son. He graduated before he arrived here. Ben, thank you very much. So that fund was started in our student activities fund, and so that donation through Fidelity has to then come into the school department because it's over $500. You have to accept it. There we are.
And then disseminate it appropriately.
And then it will be disseminated to the scholarship recipient.
Excellent.
Already awarded.
I seek a motion to approve those 2 donations that we've received.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Zink and a second from Mr. Kennison to approve the 2 donations that we listed above. Any questions about them?
I'd love to know what Mrs. Castellon can use it for, because she'll have a new kitchen soon. Yes, in another year and a half, yep.
That's exciting. That's a great organization, NCEP. As we know, they've helped us in a variety of ways and are very great for our community. Congratulations to Mrs. Castellon and the Denim Shirt Award winner. Hearing no other discussion, we'll move to the vote to accept these donations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. We talked at the last meeting about the moving the late start committee to the next phase. The next would really be investigating it further and then presenting the board with a recommendation, should they, whatever that is. And it was requested that we delay that vote until Ingrid was with us.
And I heard that request. The 2 things that I would add to that discussion is in the schools that I've worked in where there's been a change in that start time, the big issue is the way families manage their childcare. And so whatever we can do to survey and solicit that response from the families is going to be a key part of it. And the other thing was that all the research that they cited is the same kind of thing that I've read, that circadian rhythm for teenagers is just a tough one to work around, and the best thing to do is to get them at a different time in the sunlight, in the daylight part of the day.
I guess, based upon that input, Ingrid, and thank you for it, and the discussion at the last meeting, I think I would seek a motion to continue the work of the late start committee with hopes that they will provide us with a recommendation for the 2019 school year.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion for Mr. Kennison, a second for Ms. McKinney. Any question to continue the late start committee?
No, just thank you, I guess, in advance to those folks. They've done a lot of work already, but thanks for work that they hopefully will commit to in the future. And it may be interesting to hear what they have in mind in terms of what factors they think they need to look at.
They identified that in the report that they provided when they came. Childcare was among them.
Right.
And the logistical pieces.
The logistics,
Because whether you do sort of flipping times or everyone at the same time has a significant financial impact, and they wanted to get their first step, I think, that they identified with surveying parents.
And interestingly, it was complicated in one of the communities I worked with, middle schoolers. Some folks look like they're old enough to be unsupervised at home, but if parents go off to work, middle schoolers can get into a lot of mischief because they don't have that executive processing in place to go, ooh, whoops, this might be dangerous.
And Meredith, you will reach out to the past members and solicit future members of this committee, I would assume.
I will. I've also spoken with Shana Thorell, who's doing her administrative internship with me in the district this year. And so she is interested in facilitating that committee as an administrator. So.
Cool. Perfect. Then we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of continuing the late start committee, say aye.
Aye.
Completely approved. The next thing is an alternate for negotiations. This was also brought up at the last meeting. As we know, Mike and I are going to be the leads on the negotiating team, but, and our goal will be to attend every meeting, but if for some reason that cannot happen, we were suggesting that an alternate be named. Elizabeth at the last meeting expressed interest in being that person. And Mike also requested that be brought when you were here, Ingrid, so we'll do it. And I would, if there's no other thought, I would just seek a motion to approve Elizabeth as the alternate to the negotiation team.
So moved. Second.
Motion for Mr. Zink, a second for Mr. Kennison to approve Elizabeth as the alternate to the negotiation team. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for volunteering for that. The next thing we talked about a little bit in our workshop. The last 2 meetings, we've had presentations from teams for strategic planning. There were similarities between the groups. There were some differences between them. I guess the question becomes how we proceed from this point.
Are those the only two that we're going to be hearing from?
The other firm that I reached out to has no availability at the present time, and
Right.
most of the others that I was able to source had not worked heavily with schools, if at all.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did watch the
Mhm.
meeting, so
I mean, my initial thought, two things. One, we've all said that this is something that needs to be a goal of the district on all levels, I feel. But I think we said that as a board as well. The question becomes, what is the budget to achieve that? When is the time frame to allocate those funds for that, and the timing? And, if this is something we want to pursue, I guess is where we sort of find ourselves, and if so, how we do so and what the time frame is. Fundamentally, there were differences in styles between the two presentation teams. Globally, the first group sort of left us, my perception of the presentation was they left us with a document ready to go. The second, it was sort of, he gets us to a point where Meredith and her team would have to execute the document. There are more things similar than that, but that was just one thing that sort of struck me as different between the two different groups. And we have to look at time. We're talking about a variety of different things, and what is the best bang for our buck in terms of that. So it's just.
Can I just share
Yes.
a couple of pieces? So I would agree with that being the fundamental difference between the two. I think your second presenter essentially gives you kind of the bare bones. You guys have to establish the goals, and then it's incumbent upon the leadership team to go out and do the work. And I just want to highlight, again, not that the leadership team wouldn't be involved in the next phase with the other facilitators, but with everything else on the plate, if you want that plan completed in a reasonable period of time, we're going to need some additional support to do that. Mark Dolan, who is the second presenter through the School Board Association, his flat rate is $5,000. Again, for that sort of first phase. The other group, so they offer a matching grant of whatever the school district funds up to $10,000, which they have confirmed they would consider us to be eligible for based on their meetings with us. So in terms of where that funding would come from, we did encumber some funds because we had initially thought the board was going to make this decision in late June. Again, because not everyone was able to be there, didn't make that decision at that point, but we have encumbered, I would have to check the amount. I want to say we encumbered at least $5,000 out of last year's budget for this purpose, because you had identified strategic planning as a goal and again, wanting to begin relatively quickly. So if whichever firm you choose to go with, I'm confident that we have some other funds available to us this year. If you wanted to commit 5,000, we're good. If you wanted to commit up to 10 of your own, we'd also be fine.
Meredith, how does the grant work?
That was my question.
That's matching, so they would match whatever the school district puts in dollar for dollar.
But what was the name of their outfit? Whatever it is.
I don't have it in front of me.
So why would they pay for it?
They have a foundation to support strategic planning
I see.
that was part of the Boston College
I see.
work that grew out of.
Okay, so would we have it? Do they have a flat rate too, or how do they do it?
So it's really kind of an hourly proposition. What they, again, I think they feel like that $5,000 range might not be enough for the full plan, but it would clearly be in the 10 range. But again, they would match sort of our budget figure.
So our 5,000 might get it done along with their grant. Okay.
The first one, was the New England Educational Consultants, Meredith, am I right?
Thank you, yes.
And then the second one was the Mark Dolan of the School Boards Association.
Here's my feeling on all. I liked all of the presenters just on a personal level. I thought they were genuine. But my instinct is that whoever we go with, I think we're probably going to wind up in roughly the same place with the document. To me, what's more important, and maybe we can ask others who they've recently worked with, is how was your experience with them? I really believed with the first gentleman first group said, the doctor, about what's really the art here is to get that community involvement, right?
George Ladd.
Yeah, Dr. Ladd. No, he was honest. He said, "Look, I mean, we don't reinvent the wheel each time. We use a lot of what we use, and it's not surprising." I think that's the value. But to what Meredith said, they ain't gonna have the time and they aren't gonna have the time to write this up. And that there's a ton of work in that to get it right. They'll be involved for certain, right? But that we can't underestimate that. I don't think on this go around.
And I'm sure I date myself in that I see it as a real community values clarification experience. I could bring my values clarification book, but that really is. It's a process where the community clarifies its values around education, and it's process time.
Or even better yet, to what Dr. Ladd said, you give the umpteen opportunities for the community to do it. Whether they do it or not, it's a different story. But
right, and part of that clarification is, are we willing to put time into it? And so yeah.
I have a difficult time based on the presentation to make much of an assessment. I didn't find either to be startling or overwhelmingly different. I agree with Meredith that I want the one that's going to be the most heavy lift. That's what it boils down to.
That's what I think.
And I don't want a what's the word? Facilitator that's going to come in and say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I want somebody to come in and say, I've done strategic plans, and we need to do A, B, C, and D, and I'm going to lead you through it and get it done. I got to be honest with you, that's what my gut is. And I can't tell from the communicate. I can't tell which one could do that. I agree with you, Mike. I think somebody needs to call. It was just one done in where, just next to Raymond.
Was it Raymond?
that was for the second gentleman.
Yeah. So, and a couple of telephone calls that say, I mean, these guys, I mean, guys.
How'd the process
are these
go?
people really doing hard work? Because I want somebody who's going to do hard work.
I mean, I will say it does give me pause in a positive way that, they're going to match. Their foundation will match it, because that says to me they have some skin in the game in a way that someone else might not. Just my opinion about it.
To Al's point, to Al's point, though, that, only it seems the first group, Dr. Ladd's group, is going to give us that
The finished
final
product.
I just don't, the second gentleman will carry it so far, and then kind of.
Talk about that a little bit. I didn't get that. So he had Dr. Ladd had the report, which is kind of fill in the blank, as I looked at it. He's going to use a lot of that.
It is, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's been worked out over years. Yeah, and probably to some success. But I very simply, as I understand it, do we have? Okay,
Here's one.
what's his name?
Mark Dolan?
Mark Dolan. Mark's doesn't take it that far. He's not going to write that for us in the end. Once we finished our process, he's not going to write it all up and give us that document. We're going to have to kind of do that.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they will leave us with this core. This is another school district strategic plan that they gave us as a sample.
Yeah.
They will leave us with this document. Mr. Dolan would leave us with the pieces of this document from which the administrative team would have to develop this document.
And that was going to be one of my
And this-
questions.
and I-
I was watching it on
They
the screen. I
referred to it
couldn't
as
see
the strategic
those document
framework,
things.
essentially.
Right.
Like, that's the first part that they do, and then they lay out the action plan tied to it. Mark Dolan essentially would leave you with the strategic framework, and then the district would pick up on filling out the
I
action.
don't want to. What's the word I'm looking for? I thought very highly of Mark Dolan.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But it seemed that Dr. Ladd's group had more of a background in education. Mark looked like he was a mechanical engineer and, sort of got into strategic planning later. And he may do a great job, and it looks like he's had a lot of experience, so I presume he does. but it seemed, and I might have this totally wrong, but it seemed that Dr. Ladd and the other gentlemen were more plugged into what's going on today.
And my, just brass taxing it, if we can spend $5,000 and have them match the 5,000 and give us a finished product, as opposed to, spending that $5,000 not having it, my vote would be
That's
for
a
the
good
former.
summary. Can I make a motion then?
Mhm.
If we can, before.
Mike, your summary, it just wrapped it up.
Yeah.
From my point of view, the important thing is that the end product is something that our schools can implement, because if it's not theirs and they don't implement it, there's no value in it.
Exactly.
It has to be something that is meaningful to us
If we
as a
leave-
community.
if we move and we approve this, I would leave it to Meredith's discretion to, make sure that the contract gives us everything we need. I'm sure it's a boilerplate in part, but we've got a timing issue. We want to be clear about the workload, who's doing what, and what they expect from us, as well. And I'm sure it's all spelled out, but just need to be mindful of those things.
Yep.
Yeah, devil is in the details. But I move that we retain,
New England Educational Consultants.
yes, for our strategic plan this fall.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Mr. Kennison with a second from Ms. McKinney to engage in utilizing New England Educational Consultants for our strategic plan this fall. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A couple of things before we move into non-public session. Our next meeting, a couple things. I need to do something that's logical. The next meeting that we have scheduled is August 16th at 6 p.m. And then we have our sort of getting back into our schedule, August 30th at 7, when school's just about to begin. Meredith and I will be meeting with Steve and Dale this Wednesday, whatever the 18th is, to talk about the joint school board town council meeting. We had talked about maybe having that the week of the 22nd of August, sort of in that in-between week. I'm going to request or see if we can have it on the 23rd, because I've heard back from a couple of people that the Thursdays work best. As soon as I know that further after that meeting next week, I will let you guys know. But that's sort of where we stand.
August 16th.
Instead of the 15th.
Yeah, August 16th. 6 p.m. and then August 30th at 7, and then a possible joint school board town council meeting will be sometime that week in between. As soon as I know, I will let you know.
Kim, let me throw this out there too, because we're at mid-July and we're going to have our first negotiation or
Right around the
initial
same
meeting on
time.
the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So on my list was to see if the board wants to do another non-meeting on August 16th.
Yes.
I've already confirmed that the attorney is available.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Perfect. Thank you, Meredith and Mike. To prepare we'll have another non-meeting with the attorney to talk about negotiation
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah,
And that's on the 16th of August?
It'll be on the 16th of August. Right. It's already confirmed.
At what time?
The 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, you may want to start earlier.
Maybe 5. We'll see would 5 work?
Yep.
Can we do 5? We'll move that till 5. On the 16th. And then negotiations will start after that, a week later. Any other things that we need calendar-wise in the short term?
So hit them one more time. August 16th,
Yep, 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Yep.
August 30th, 7 p.m. Sometime,
August 30th at
Mhm.
7.
And that's a regular school.
that's a regular school board meeting.
And then the 23rd is a joint meeting?
Tentatively, sometime that week. Meredith and I are going to meet with Steve and Dale next week. We'll have a firm date after that.
August 23rd.
Mm-hmm. For a joint town council school board.
The building committee meets next on August 14th.
Okay. Any other calendar things?
It's going fast.
I seek a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A 32C.
So moved.
Second?
Kenny, Kennison. We have a motion from Ms. McKinney, a second from Mr. Kennison to go into non-public. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Zink? Ms. Alberg?
Aye.
Mr. Kennison?
Aye.
Ms. McKinney? Me. We're going into non-public session at 8:11 p.m.
The joint meeting is at 5?
We don't know yet.
Oh, we don't know.